All right, welcome everyone to our April edition of What's Next in EdTech. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is Tom Driscoll from EdTechTeacher, and also joined by my colleague Avra.
Hey everybody, Avra here. Nice to see ya.
All right, so we're going to dive right in. If you're new to our shows, we try to keep these short and sweet, keep them about 15 minutes long or so, just share with you all different ideas and resources that we've come across in our travels and work with schools across the country at EdTechTeacher. We always start with what's new with Google, so that's where we're going to jump in. Also, remember we have a show notes document that we share with you guys that is in the description of each one of the YouTube links. I'm actually going to bring it up on my stream right here. So you guys actually have access to this. We'll also be sharing it out on our social media streams, so feel free to check this out. We also are going to include everything in our past episodes. So if you haven't seen this before, if you scroll down, you see everything back from our February episode all the way up to what we've done in March and in April. All right, so what's new with Google? So we have 5 points to point out today. I'm actually going to turn it over to my colleague Avra, and she's going to share a couple things in the Google for Education realm.
All right, thanks so much, Tom. So first up, we're really excited because something that we have been kind of being promised for quite a while is finally rolling out. I have seen folks talking about it. It's coming out to some domains, and that is scheduling posts for multiple classrooms in Google Classroom. So we've been able to schedule out, in different ways over the years, but we've finally got this opportunity now to actually pick several classes and then be able to schedule things at different times, different due dates, as you can see kind of in this animated GIF right here. So look for that in your Google for Education domain. Should be rolling out right now. It started in mid-March. So that's really exciting, something that's definitely going to streamline, efforts of teachers all over. So that's awesome. The next thing that we wanted to mention, kind of mentioned this before, but just so that you've got kind of the URL, there was a Teach with Chrome series that took place from late February all the way through the end of March. And it was full of a lot of different webinars. They were half an hour long, short and sweet, but tons of information. And so this is in our resource document for you to take a look at. And then I would highly suggest taking a look at the next series, and it's called Did You Know Training Series. And if we take a look at what's here, you can see some really neat topics coming our way. So you can do that with docs, slides, and sheets. I'm assuming this will be a lot like you can do that with a Chromebook, which was an awesome workshop in the last series. There's stuff in here for Google Admin Console users, getting the most out of Google Classroom, some security stuff, in ways to engage kids with Google Meet. So you can kind of see all different options there. As well. So you would, want to click on the link that we'll have in our show notes for that and sign up for it, register for it. I wasn't able to make all of them live, but I was able to go back and watch them at my leisure. That was the magic, of the webinar. So, so think about, consider signing up for that. Then one other thing that was kind of cool that I came across is an email draft option in Google Docs now. So let me just kind of come down in this Google Doc and show you how I created this. So in our new Google Docs, if we, do the @ symbol, so we're just going to do our Shift 2, we get all sorts of different kind of building blocks, opportunities to bring in different files or checklists, different media, dates even, and all of that. And one of the very top ones here is email draft. You may even see a little blue new word by it, which I saw the first time I used it as well. So when we click on this, it kind of creates this little template. So, hey, if I was, sending an email to Tom, I could come in here, I could put in, CCing it to my director, Gail, and I could, put a subject line in here, meeting topics for Friday, right? And then I could come in and actually, start to compose my email, which I love, because composing sometimes in Gmail, I actually really love a Google Doc to do a lot of composing. I tend to see my spelling errors better, all of that kind of stuff. And so when I'm done and I'm ready to go, what I can do after I've written the document is click right here on this little M, and it's actually going to just, throw it right over here into Gmail for me. And that way I can send. So from my perspective, this is just a really cool way of being able to get started if you're writing kind of a longer email that you want to take the time to really review before sending it out. So so that was just kind of a couple of the cool things that I think are coming up. And like Tom said, we've got all of that kind of listed here for you in our show notes. So Tom, I'm going to let you take it from here as you can talk about practice sets.
Yeah, thanks, Avra. So those email drafts absolutely going to be helpful. I know a lot of my longer emails, I do the same thing. I just put it right into Google and then edit it from there. So excellent, great tip. All right, so now we're going to transition over to, as Avra mentioned, some practice sets. So this is an interesting new feature. And what they've done is they've created almost like their own adaptive learning system within Google Classroom. And if you haven't had a chance to see this yet, if you click in the show notes or just Google practice sets for Google Classroom, it looks very powerful. And here's the basic idea of it is that you go in and you create a practice set. So you have certain questions. You have like a scratch pad area where students can go in and show their work and students answer. But here's the kicker. They actually have an algorithm and some AI built into this that will bring up suggested videos and resources for students in real time, right? So as they're doing the practice sets, you don't even necessarily need to curate a lot of those instructional materials. They're going to show up for them, which I think is really valuable and helpful. Another thing that you're going to get is a few different types of answers. So, and this is something that math teachers have been asking for a long time, that ability to kind of write out different steps to an equation and things like that. So it will actually detect if you're getting things right or if you're off course as you're doing your answer, as you're writing it out. So again, another interesting concept. And there will be a more robust dashboard of student data. So you're going to have kind of like a heat map of how well students are doing on certain skills. You're also going to get some insights, right? So which students were, doing well on certain types of problems, which ones were not, which ones might need some extra support. So again, a lot of different options coming out here. It is not officially available. So and of course, in Google fashion, they haven't given a specific timeline yet. If I had to guess, I would say that it will start rolling out at the beginning of next year. But if you wanted to get on a beta group to try it, they do have a link in that blog post. You fill out this form and you may end up becoming part of their beta test group. So just something to keep an eye on. I think there's a ton of potential for this in Google Classroom to take. Because let's face it, Google Forms is great, but it was designed as a survey tool. It was never really designed to be a robust assessment system. So I think this is Google's attempt to kind of create a more classroom-centric tool for giving students the ability to practice problems and do some formative assessments. All right, so that is super exciting. Looking forward to that coming out. On a very practical note, something that I'm excited about is the Google appointment slots. And this might seem a little bit nerdy, but I think that it can be very helpful for everyone that is an instructional coach or that has students that want to set up time for after school activities or things along those lines. Let me just zoom in a little bit. So you can see here that they're getting some pretty major updates. As you can see in this document or in this GIF image, they're going to have a new kind of platform that pops up on the left where you can set the appointment times, the days of the week. You can have it recurring, but then you can also automatically add in things like video conferencing. You can add in resources, and the booking page looks a lot better. Like if you've been into it recently, the booking for an appointment, it's very clunky still. And it honestly, it looks like some HTML website from the 90s. It looks really bad, but this is going to be a new interface and it's going to be a lot better. So if you do any booking with teachers for PD or with students, keep an eye out for this. And if you want to check out the blog post, it's linked there in that tweet, just kind of walks through the rollout schedule, who's going to be impacted. It says it's coming out already. So it actually started rolling out on the 24th of March. So I would assume most people are going to have access to this by the mid to end of April. So definitely a helpful resource for all of you guys that do those types of scheduling. All right, so that is the new appointment slots. Let me back out of the screen share here. Add Avra back in. Okay, so next up on our agenda was tutorials. So I'm actually going to hand it back over to Avra to talk about some of the new YouTube tutorials we've been putting out on our channel.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom. I love it. I was actually thinking the exact same thing you were about the calendar, the current appointment slots in there. It does. It's like a little walk back in time when you go to that section of Google Calendar. So I'm looking forward to that. All right. So let's talk for a little bit about our EdTechTeacher YouTube channel. So we've been working a lot lately on creating tutorials for teachers. In fact, we get requests all the time. We're always doing webinars or workshops in schools with folks. And sometimes people need a little extra, like, hey, this was a really cool idea. Could you expand it? Could you make us a video tutorial? So that's something that we are working on right now. And so you'll see here that we've got, all different things. So one of the projects that we've got going is we are building out some level 1 and level 2 certification tutorials. So there are new wonderful slide decks of task cards that kind of walk users through what to expect on those exams. So if you want to be a level 1 Google certified educator or level 2, you can go through that. And so what we are doing is kind of taking each one of those task cards and creating some tutorials that support folks as they're going through. So if when we get all of that done, it'll all be on the YouTube channel. You'll be able to take a look. If you're not quite sure how to do something, that'll be something you can check out. We've also got some just other EdTech tutorials, some different programs that maybe have been around for a while or new ones. So everything from Quizlet Live to Kahoot, that kind of stuff. Even taking a look at some of our favorite tools like Screencastify. It's something that's been around for a while but has new updates to it. So, and I think we mentioned last time, we've got a whole series here also on Chromebooks, the settings and accessibility. So things that you can do to make your Chromebook more accessible for your students. So definitely, if you haven't already, you're going to want to, go to our YouTube channel. I guess I could actually subscribe to it here, Tom. Even though I work for EdTechTeacher, haven't actually subscribed. So hitting that red button there, subscribe, and then turning on this notification bell. That way you will be, kind of notified as our new content comes out, and you can take a look at it if it makes sense for you in your environment. So kind of keep that in mind as well.
All right, thanks, Avra. So, so definitely check out our YouTube channel, subscribe to it, get some new updates, and we're going to have a lot of new content coming out this spring and summer. So, hopefully that'll be able to help out a lot of folks moving into the next school year. Okay, final thing before we wrap up is we have a few upcoming events. So I'm going to jump over to our stream one more time. So first is we have an event coming up in Orlando. We're actually partnering with Atlas, which is actually an association of independent schools across the country. We are going to be a partner in that event. So we're going to have a booth down there in Orlando, May 2nd to 4th. I'll also be presenting there. I'll be presenting a civic education for the 21st century workshop. So if you guys are interested, or if you're going, please let us know, reach out, and I'd love to connect while I'm down there. If you want some more information on the event itself, I did put a link to their annual conference website. So if you click here, you can get a little bit more information about some of the keynotes. For instance, Richard Kulata is going to be the keynote presenter. He is the CEO of ISTE. He's an amazing educator. He's been around for a while. He's actually at the U.S. Department of Education for a while, leading their Office of EdTech. He's also a local Rhode Island guy, so I like him. He was at URI. But anyway, so a lot of great speakers here. Eric Hudson from Global Online Academy will be speaking. So it's a great lineup of folks. We'd love to see you guys down there. So reach out anytime if you're going to be there or have any questions about it. And then we're also very excited about our upcoming summer workshop. So me and Avra are hard at work collaborating with some of our other consultants and instructors on creating a great menu of offerings for you guys. We also have some ones that we haven't really offered before, some new things. So we're very excited. We have some new experts that we're bringing into the fold. Nothing is official yet, so keep an eye out. We're going to push out some communication and some schedules in the next week or two probably, but just know that we are going to have a series of on-site and online workshops. We're going to provide options for both folks, because we know some people prefer the online environment where you can just kind of jump in and do an online course, but we also know that a lot of people want to be hands-on and in a location with other educators. So I'm pretty sure we're going to have a location out on Cape Cod, which is beautiful. We're going to have some other ones in the region as well. So I'm going to highlight a couple, and then I'll turn over to Avra. One that I'm really excited about is we have a new Makerspace series that we're putting together. So we're going to feature workshops on AR and VR, drones and robotics, coding, AI and education, 3D technology and modeling, and more related to maker spaces. And we have some awesome people that are going to come in and help run some of those sessions. And we also have a few that are more subject specific, right? So we're going to have some that are specific to science teachers, some for math teachers, some for social studies and civics teachers. So excited for that. Avra, which ones are you looking forward to for the summer?
Well, Tom, I'm first of all, I'm excited about the level 1 and level 2 certification workshops.
Yes.
I know I just mentioned doing those videos, but these workshops are really, kind of geared toward making sure that someone comes into the workshop and they feel really comfortable taking that exam when they're done. Because sometimes there can be a little bit of anxiety around taking those exams. So, those will be ones that I think will be great. I'm also really excited to kind of dive into some of my favorite topics. I've worked for years with coaching teachers. So we're going to look at providing instructional coaches and technology coaches and even administrators ways to be able to kind of relate with teachers and work with them to be able to help them navigate these EdTech waters, as well as just good best practices in teaching and learning. And then also taking a look at digital portfolios. That's one of my pet projects. I always see digital portfolios as such a neat way for students to kind of dive in to some more reflection and build those metacognitive skills. So I'm really excited about doing some of the work around that. We're also going to be looking at some student creation stuff. So ways for students to get kind of in the driver's seat of learning and show what they know in a variety of ways. So beyond, a typical essay or a typical assessment, we're going to look at some really cool ways for students to get creative. So it should be a really fun summer. Our summer workshops are always really fun and exciting. So I hope that people will join us.
Yeah, absolutely. Look forward to seeing you guys there. And that concludes our April episode of What's Next in EdTech. Man, this thing goes by quickly, doesn't it, Avra?
It does.
So we kept our promise. We kept it under 20 minutes. So that's our goal for each episode. We're going to be back again next May. We'll get the date up for you guys shortly. In the meantime, reach out to me or Avra anytime. We have our information in this document. The easiest way is probably through Twitter, but you can also send us an email, connect on Instagram. We have an EdTechTeacher Facebook page. So any of those social media platforms you're most comfortable with, we are there. So reach out to us at any time. All right. Any last words, Avra, for our group?
Nope. Hope April showers bring May flowers, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys in May.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.